Exploring the life and legacy of Hugo Chávez, 27 facts and intriguing insights. Ladies and gentlemen, today we embark on a journey through the remarkable life of Hugo Chávez, a charismatic and controversial figure who dominated Venezuelan politics for over a decade. From his fiery rhetoric to his radical leftist ideology, and from his confrontations with the United States to his unprecedented social programs, Hugo Chávez left an indelible mark on his nation. Join us as we delve into his fascinating political career and unravel the enigmatic circumstances surrounding his untimely demise. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate notifications to stay updated on our content. Number 1: Early life and childhood. Hugo Rafael Chávez Frias was born on July 28, 1954, in the town of Sabaneta, located in the western state of Barinas, Venezuela. He was the second of 6 children born to Hugo de los Reyes Chávez and Elena Frias, both primary school teachers. Raised by his grandmother, Rosa S. Chávez, Hugo Chávez grew up with a strong connection to his family roots. His childhood was marked by his involvement as a church altar boy, his love for baseball, and a burgeoning interest in theater. He completed his primary education at Julian Pino School and graduated from Liceo Daniel Florentino Olari in Barinas in 1971. Number 2: Military career and early activism. Entering the Venezuelan Military Academy in 1971, Chávez graduated in 1975 as a sub-lieutenant with a degree in military science and arts. Throughout the years, he progressed through the ranks, becoming a lieutenant in 1977. His fervor for change led him to secretly establish the Bolivarian Revolutionary Movement 200, MBR 200, in 1982, named in honor of Simón Bolívar's upcoming bicentennial in 1983. On December 17, 1982, under the famous Saman tree in Guía, Chávez and his fellow officers, including Felipe Acosta Carlos and Francisco Arias Cardenas, pledged to forge a new republic. Number 3: Failed coup attempt of 1992. Chávez's first attempt to seize power occurred on February 4, 1992. The coup aimed to overthrow the government of President Carlos Andrés Pérez. While the coup managed to take control of key cities like Maracaibo, Valencia, and Maracay, it ultimately failed to capture the Miraflores presidential palace in Caracas. Chávez surrendered and publicly urged his fellow rebels to lay down their arms, acknowledging their inability to control the situation. Although unsuccessful, this event paved the way for his future political rise. Number 4: Ascension to the presidency. After 2 years of imprisonment, Chávez was released in 1994 under President Rafael Caldera. In December 1998, Chávez, representing the Fifth Republic movement, won the presidential elections with 56.5% of the votes. Taking office on February 2, 1999, he immediately voiced his intentions to reshape Venezuela's political landscape, considering the existing 1961 constitution moribund. Number 5: The new constitution of 1999. In April 1999, Chávez organized a referendum, seeking popular opinion on replacing the 1961 constitution. With an impressive 81% in favor and amidst a 62% abstention rate, the populace mandated a constituent assembly. This assembly drafted a new constitution that was approved on December 15, 1999. However, this period also saw the tragic Vargas landslide disaster, in which torrential rains led to landslides killing thousands. Chávez faced criticism for refusing U.S. assistance in disaster relief, a decision some perceived as political. Number 6: Rising tensions and re-election. In the early 2000s, following the approval of the new constitution in July 2000, Venezuela witnessed intensified conflict. In a process known as re-legitimation of powers, Chávez was re-elected as president, securing nearly 60% of the votes. The newly formed National Assembly, replacing the former National Congress in November 2000, granted him extraordinary legislative powers, enabling him to decree laws. During this time, Chávez displayed photos of children he claimed were victims of US bombings in Afghanistan, fueling tensions between his government and the opposition. Number 7, tensions escalate and key resignations. Chávez's relationships within his government began to fray. His political mentor, Luis Miguel Elena, resigned as the Minister of Interior in January 2002 due to differing opinions with the president. This ignited further dissent among active military personnel, leading to demands for Chávez's resignation. By April, Chávez fired 7 executives from Petróleos de Venezuela, PDVSA, the state-owned oil company, triggering mass protests and a massive opposition march on April 11, 2002, in Caracas. Number 8, the infamous April 11th, and Generals' Defiance. The opposition march on April 11 escalated into clashes between supporters and opponents of Chávez. As Chávez addressed the nation via radio and television, private broadcasters split their screens to show both him and the unfolding protest. Violence erupted, resulting in casualties. In a significant turning point, a group of generals and admirals announced their refusal to recognize Chávez's authority. Venevision aired footage of government supporters firing at opposition marchers from Yaguno Bridge. Number 9, the resignation and the Carmona interlude. Pressure mounted on Chávez, culminating in a request for his resignation on April 12, 2002. Amid a confusing atmosphere, Minister of Defense Lucas Rincon Romero publicly announced Chávez's acceptance of the request. Pedro Carmona, head of the business group Fidecamaras, was hastily sworn in as interim president. Carmona promptly issued a decree disbanding all public powers, causing uproar within both the Chavismo movement and parts of the opposition. Only Colombia recognized Carmona's government. Number 10, temporary removal and return to power. April 13, 2002. Saw massive pro-Chávez demonstrations across Venezuela while Chávez himself was taken to Isla de la Orcala. His supporters took over the state TV channel, and key military figures pledged allegiance to him. Diosdado Cabello was sworn in as provisional president. In the early hours of April 14, Chávez was flown back to Caracas. In his return message, he spoke on television holding a crucifix in his hands. Number 11, national strike and political maneuvers. Post-April 2002, protests resumed, and in October, around 120 active and retired officers held a continuous demonstration at Plaza Altamira. In December 2002, a prolonged general strike commenced, severely impacting the oil industry. The government called upon ex-military personnel and university technicians to maintain operational continuity in the oil sector. By mid-January 2003, the government regained control over the oil company, ending the strike due to its crippling impact on the economy. Number 12, diplomatic drama and referendums. Chávez's diplomatic encounters remained captivating. In September 2006, at the UN General Assembly, he famously remarked, "The devil came here yesterday," alluding to then US President George W. Bush, who had spoken the day prior. Despite challenges, Chávez successfully faced a recall referendum in August 2004, securing nearly 60% of the votes. His party triumphed in regional elections of 2004 and parliamentary elections of 2005, further consolidating his political power. Number 13, royal rebuke and bold declarations. Following his re-election in December 2006 with almost 63% of the votes against opposition candidate Manuel Rosales, Chávez assumed his second term on January 10, 2007. During his inauguration, he proclaimed his intention to lead the country toward a concept known as 21st century socialism. He passionately introduced the rallying cry Patria, Socialismo o Morte, homeland, socialism, or death. In a surprising turn of events later that year, Chávez denied the renewal of Radio Caracas Television's, RCTV, broadcasting license, silencing the opposition-leaning channel. Number 14, Setbacks and Political Shifts. Chávez encountered a significant electoral defeat in December 2007, as a constitutional reform proposed by his government was narrowly rejected by voters, with 51% against. In September 2008, amidst one of his typical large-scale gatherings on Avenida Bolívar, he expelled the U.S. ambassador, Patrick Duddy, using profane language. This marked a point of tension in already strained relations between the two countries. Number 15, Targeting the Jewish Community. In response to Israel's actions in Gaza, Chávez severed diplomatic relations with Israel and expelled its ambassador in January 2009. Shortly thereafter, a group of heavily armed individuals stormed and vandalized the Tiferet Israel synagogue in Caracas, marking a dark chapter in the country's history. Chávez's rhetoric further escalated when he cursed Israel over the airwaves in 2010. Number 16, Colossal Altercations and Reforms. Chávez's fiery disposition continued in February 2009 at the 21st Rio Group Summit in Cancun, where he engaged in a heated, public shouting match with Colombian President Álvaro Uribe, highlighting their ongoing political and economic disagreements. Later that year, a constitutional amendment proposed by Chávez to eliminate term limits on all elected positions, including the presidency, passed with 54% of the votes. Number 17, Bans and Controversies. Chávez's policies often extended to bans on certain products. In June 2009, he prohibited the sale of Coca-Cola Zero in Venezuela, expressing health concerns without specifying the risks. This decision prompted the U.S. company to comply, emphasizing their adherence to global quality standards. In October 2012, Chávez similarly banned Halloween celebrations in state-run hotels, sparking debates on cultural values. Number 18, Missions for the People. Chávez's governance revolved around his missions, ambitious social programs aimed at assisting the less privileged. These initiatives included Mission Robinson, focused on combating illiteracy, Missions Ribas and Sucre, for primary and secondary education, and Mission Barrio Adentro, providing medical care in underprivileged areas. His most ambitious project, Great Housing Mission, aimed to alleviate the housing deficit, albeit with mixed success. Number 19, Missions and the Dark Side of Corruption. While the missions provided benefits to the marginalized, they also served as tools for electoral manipulation and fostered rampant corruption. Many of these initiatives were administered by Chávez-aligned military officers, who managed substantial budgets with little oversight. The unchecked allocation of resources led to mismanagement, and the unjust enrichment of some officials. Number 20, Expropriation and State Control. Between 2002 and 2012, Chávez expropriated over 1,000 companies. His government's nationalization efforts included the telecommunications company CanTV and the Electricidad de Caracas, a private power company founded in 1895. These actions raised concerns about the fate of businesses taken over by the state, with most struggling to maintain productivity. Number 22, Rising crime rates and security concerns. During Chávez's tenure, Venezuela experienced an alarming increase in crime rates. According to Garrett Jones and Dennis Rogers' book Youth Violence in Latin America, the annual homicide rate rose from 13 per 100,000 inhabitants in 1990 to 25 in 1999, the first year of Chávez's presidency. This figure surged to 44 in just 4 years. The Chávez era also saw the emergence of powerful criminal gangs, often linked to elements within the armed forces, particularly in the drug trade. Kidnappings in Venezuela skyrocketed from 44 in 1999 to a staggering 1,150 by 2011. Number 23, Physical Decline and Health Troubles. Chávez's physical decline began in May 2011 when he experienced discomfort in his left knee, leading to the cancellation of an official trip to Brazil, Ecuador, and Cuba. This ailment marked the start of a downward spiral in his health. Despite his absence from the public eye for several weeks, he made a brief appearance on his programa Lo Presidente but acknowledged that he was not yet ready to resume his regular schedule due to persistent knee pain. Number 24, From Ailment to Secret Illness. On June 10, 2011, Venezuelan Foreign Minister Nicolás Maduro announced that Chávez had undergone emergency surgery for a pelvic abscess in Havana, Cuba. A month later, Chávez himself revealed that a malignant tumor the size of a baseball had been removed during the surgery. He mentioned plans for chemotherapy treatment in Cuba, withholding further details about the type of cancer he was facing. After returning to Caracas on September 23, 2011, he expressed confidence in his full recovery for the upcoming presidential elections. However, by mid-February 2012, he disclosed that evaluations in Cuba had revealed the persistence of a lesion in the same area. Number 25, Triumph amidst health struggles. Despite battling illness, Chávez won the October 2012 presidential elections. However, his absence during the inauguration on January 10, 2013, and his ongoing health concerns raised alarm bells. He was in Cuba, engaged in a struggle against his illness, while his country grappled with uncertainty. Number 26, Maduro's announcement and controversial claims. Nicolás Maduro, Chávez's vice president, announced on March 4, 2013, that Chávez was suffering from a new and severe infection, emphasizing Chávez's unwavering faith in Christ. On March 5, 2013, at 4:25 p.m., Maduro confirmed Chávez's passing, attributing his death to an alleged cancer induced by enemies of the nation. Maduro pledged a scientific investigation to prove that Chávez had been deliberately targeted. Number 27, Medical community disputes induced cancer theory. The notion of induced cancer was widely rejected by the international medical community. Renowned oncologist Elmer Huerta, president of the American Cancer Society, stated that the idea of injecting cancer cells is scientifically implausible and impossible. He further clarified that the immune system would immediately reject foreign cancer cells. Huerta also dismissed the possibility of inducing cancer through chemicals or radiation, as prolonged and consistent exposure over many years is required. In closing, as the saying goes, a people who do not know their history are destined to repeat it. Understanding the life, actions, and controversies surrounding Hugo Chávez provides insight into the complex narrative of modern Venezuelan history. Thanks for watching. If you found this video interesting, make sure to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We'll be back soon with more curiosities from history.